Now, if there's one thing I know about, it's redness and a tendency to rosacea. And I have learned that the most important thing are my daily habits when it comes to managing my skin. Now, any redness or rosacea sufferer will know that the wrong skincare habits can really be one of the biggest triggers around. And that's why it's so important to put together the right supportive skincare routine with the right actives to manage your skin. And I truly believe that azelaic acid takes pride of place when building an effective redness solution skincare plan. So azelaic acid is brilliant in redness-prone skin and rosacea because it changes the way the skin senses the environment. So part of the issue with rosacea is that we overreact to things like UV exposure and harsh winds. So I've always likened it to the fire alarm in the kitchen going off when the kettle boils rather than when the oven is on fire. The same thing is true for our skin in rosacea. Now, that's because of something called toll-like receptors, and the dial is turned right up. So these are oversensitive and they overreact, leading to things like vasodilatation, so the blood vessels in the skin open up, changes in skin barrier function, flushing, and then blemishes, so papules and pustules. Now, the great thing about azelaic acid, it turns the dial right down. Products that I recommend that contain azelaic acid include the Inculus 10% azelaic acid serum, the Ordinary's the original 10% azelaic acid suspension, and Flawless Brightly Serum, which has also got 10% azelaic acid in combination with 3 other actives. The next active ingredient I think is worth considering is niacinamide. Now, this barrier-loving B vitamin is an asset for 2 reasons. Firstly, it does make the skin barrier that bit stronger and more resilient, and we know that decreased barrier function is part of the reason why rosacea-prone skin behaves so sensitively. So that's because of increased ceramide production, bolstering your skin's barrier function. And then secondly, it's anti-inflammatory, and we know that rosacea triggers inflammation in the skin, so calming that down is a big part of why niacinamide is so helpful. And I think many of us saw this at first hand during the pandemic when wearing masks not only aggravated acne but also tended to aggravate rosacea, and niacinamide was a real hero ingredient in that context. Now, products that contain niacinamide include the Garden of Wisdom's 5% niacinamide serum, or as I mentioned, Flawless Brightly Serum also contains niacinamide with azelaic acid for ease. Now, the next ingredient I want you to think about for treating redness-prone skin might not seem like an active, but to me it is, and that's physical sunscreen. I have patients genuinely appreciate the value of mineral sunscreen and actually improving their rosacea and redness, are separate to the benefits that they achieve from their actives. And I think it's that important because at the end of the day, most of the people affected by rosacea tend to have light skin and light eyes, and we know they're at risk of premature aging, and possibly uncontrolled inflammation might accelerate that. So we want to protect the dermis as much as possible. So daily sunscreen is a non-negotiable. The other thing is that physical sunscreen can often just make the skin look better. It has light reflecting properties, and if tinted can really give a nice evening out of the skin tone, which on good skin days can often mean you can get away with just using concealer. Personally, I cannot live without a lightly tinted sunscreen. I'm a Flawless Gossamer Tint 1 addict, as many of you will know. But finding that mineral sunscreen that makes you feel confident even on a day when your skin's a little on the pink side is a real godsend. Now, introducing a retinoid into redness-prone skin, or indeed rosacea, can seem a risky idea. After all, they're associated with irritation and potentially dryness and scaling. However, when redness-prone skin is calm or your rosacea is in the maintenance phase, they actually have quite a lot to offer. So firstly, they may actually improve the tendency for abnormal red blood vessels to appear. So the development of those fixed broken capillaries that we associate with redness-prone skin. Secondly, they have a role in redensifying the dermis. So after all, we know that those with light skin and light eyes are more at risk of rosacea. They're also more at risk of premature aging, and we really want all that collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid, the structure proteins that make the skin thick, firm and resilient. So I'm a big fan of retinoids introduced in the right way at the right time. And in the over-the-counter space, I think an active retinoid has to be one of the best ways to do this in a gentle and reassuring fashion. Products you can try include the Inky List Active Retinoid, the Skin Rocks Retinoid 1, or Flawless Nightly Serum if you want to try your retinoid in combination with azelaic acid and niacinamide. One more skincare consideration for you is Ivermectin. Now, this is available on prescription, hence I'm mentioning it last, but it is something to think about if you are getting frequent flare-ups with papules and pustules and redness. Now, in rosacea, redness comes about for a number of reasons. Firstly, those broken capillaries can lead to a permanent redness in the cheeks typically, but also in the nose and the chin. Now, the blemishes of rosacea can also leave redness behind. So post-inflammatory pigmentation can create redness on the skin. So that's a separate way in which the skin can redden. And then the third way is simply through barrier dysfunction that can lend itself to the skin becoming irritating. Now, for me, azelaic acid is excellent at dialing down the inflammation, making the skin look less pink. And then ivermectin, or cilantro as it's known on prescription, helps to reduce the incidence of those papules and pustules. So it is really helpful for an inflammatory flare-up of your rosacea. Now, I tend to use cilantro for inflammatory bursts, and then I will plan to wean someone off that onto azelaic acid for maintenance, and then I'll just reuse it as often as is needed to help the patient control their flares. The good thing about ongoing use of azelaic acid is that over time, I find that you get fewer and fewer flare-ups and you get better and better control. And in addition to that, you also get the nice skin conditioning benefits. You get improved texture, you get better looking pores, and an overall brighter appearance to the skin, whilst also helping them achieve the best possible complexion they can. So as I've discovered, it is really worthwhile having a long-term plan when it comes to a rosy complexion, because unfortunately it does tend to hang around as a tendency. However, putting in the right groundwork, using the right products can lend themselves to improving your skin immeasurably whilst also controlling your redness. So it's work that's worthwhile, and I hope you find the recommendations in today's videos helpful. So if I've convinced you that azelaic acid is right for you, you might want to watch my ultimate beginner's guide to using azelaic acid to give you a foolproof plan for getting started. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.